Hey, Mosaic Kids, it's Miss Antonia.
And Miss Lexi, we hope you and your families are having a great week so far.
We are so excited for our lesson today.
But first, let's start with our Mosaic Kids Memory Challenge. So if you aren't already, go ahead and stand up and wiggle it out. And so our memory challenge that we are going to review for today is Psalm 23. And these verses are known as "The Lord is my shepherd." And so repeat after me. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Good job, guys.
All right, and now we are going to do our MK Q&A, and you guys know what that is. MK Q&A is memorizing truths about who God is in the form of question and answer. So we know that we do this in other ways. For example, what did Cinderella leave at the ball? A glass slipper. What do you call a baby cat? A kitten. What do you call a baby dog? A puppy. Good job, guys. So we're going to do something similar, except all of our questions and answers will help us learn more about who God is and how he is good, great, glorious, and gracious. Are you guys ready to get started? Awesome.
But first, we are going to play a game like we do every time. And so we are going to play up, down, stop, and go, which we have played before, but if you have forgotten, let me just remind you. So this is a game of opposites. And so if I tell you up, you're actually going to crouch down because the opposite of up is down. And then if I say down, you are going to reach high in the sky and on your tippy toes. So that's if I say down, you're going to reach up high. And then if I say stop, you're actually going to run in place. And then if I say go, you're going to stop and put your arms out to the side and stop, freeze. Okay, so you're going to do the opposite of what I'm saying. Are you ready?
I think so.
Let's go. Down. Up. Stop. Go. Down. Up. Go. Stop. Up. Stop. Go. Down.
I don't know.
You go up. Good job, guys.
Oh, man. Hi.
That's tricky.
It was really tricky. Let me tell you. I think I started to just try to choose one and then see if it worked out for me. That didn't go very well. Well, guys, now it's time for MKQ and A. And our question is, what does God require in the first, second, and third commandments? Real fast. What does God require in the first, second, and third commandments? Well, first, that we know God as the only true God. Second, that we avoid all idolatry. And third, that we treat God's name with fear and reverence. And so here are our motions for that. What does God require in the first, second, and third commandments? First, you shall have no other gods before me. So remember, that's our one finger. 2, you should not make yourself an idol. So we have 1 bowing down. And then 3, you should not misuse the name of your Lord, your God. And so we make a W with our hand and put it on our mouth. And so everything we learn in MK Q&A comes from the Bible. We know that the Bible is from God and it is about God. And so our verse for this Q&A is Deuteronomy 6:13 through 14, which says, it is the Lord your God you shall fear. Him you shall serve, in his name you shall swear. You shall not go after other gods, the gods of the people who are around you. And so we are learning about the 10 commandments. And when God rescued his people out of slavery in Egypt, he knew that they needed a new way to live and relate to him and to one another. So he gave them the law. Can you guys say the law on 3? 1, 2, 3. The law. Good job. And the law is a set of good and loving rules that God gives to his family, gives to his people. And the reason why he does this is because he cares about his children. You'll remember, do you have good and loving rules at your house? Yeah, of course, because rules help us to love each other. And it wouldn't be very fun if your siblings could take your toys or could hit you whenever you want to, right? So rules are for our good. And God's rules, his law, are good and loving because he is good and loving. And we also learned last week how God's law is also about worship. And so we're going to continue with that. But first, let's remember one of our 4 foundational truths. God is glorious. He satisfies his people. Can you guys do that with me on 3? 1, 2, 3. God is glorious. He satisfies his people. And that's right, because God is what is best. And so his children, those who love and trust Jesus, can know him and they can worship him. And by knowing him and worshiping him, we do so because God knows what is best for our hearts, which is him. And so what does God require in the first, second, and third commandments? Well, first, that we know God as the one only true God. Can you put one finger up? Okay, like one God. And so God is the only one that we should glorify. And we've said that glorify means to show, honor, and enjoy God as most valuable. So that's what the first commandment is all about, that God is the only God that we should worship. And second, that we avoid all idolatry. And so idolatry, and we're going to, 2 fingers, and then one is bowing down like an idol. And God is the only one that we should glorify, okay? And so idolatry is glorifying something or someone other than God. So it's like bowing down to something other than God. And avoiding idolatry means that we love God, and that when we start to love other things more than God, that we tell God the truth. And you know what we call that? Confession. Yeah, so you confess to God, telling God the truth, and then we ask for him to help us to love him more. So first, we only worship God, only true God. Second commandment, avoid all idolatry. And the third one, that we treat God's name with fear and reverence. We put the W over our mouth. So have you ever been to the zoo? Yeah, probably. And have you ever seen like a really big lion or a really big bear or something so strong and also incredible and amazing where you look at and you're like, oh my goodness, that is so strong and so beautiful all at the same time. Now, if we were to all go to the zoo together and I said, you can go into the cage with the lion, would you want to do that? Maybe not. But whether you went in or not, you would probably be walking around with a little bit of fear. And fear is good. It means that when we see something that is beautiful and worthy of our fear, like a strong lion or a strong bear, that we have a certain respect or a reverence or a fear. And so if you would walk carefully around a bear or a lion, how much more should we walk and consider God carefully and with fear and with respect? Because God is stronger than all the lions and all the bears in the whole world that have ever lived and ever will, all put together. And so we should treat God's name with fear and awe. And actually, because of Jesus, we can go towards God. But we should have respect for his name. And so does this mean that we never say God's name? Of course not. We can say God's name. We should say God's name. But when we say his name, we should think about who God is and how he is good, great, glorious, and gracious. And we should say it in a way that shows that that's what we believe about him. Okay? So first, second, and third commandments. First, only worshiping God. Second, avoiding idolatry. And third, treating his name with fear and reverence. Okay? So I'm going to pray and then we'll do our review questions. God, you are good. And you are worthy of all of our worship. We thank you for your good and loving rules, that because you are good and loving, we know that your rules, the law, are to show us about what you desire for us. And so I do pray that you would help us to see that, and to help us to say your name with fear and reverence, with awe, because you are strong and mighty and worthy of worship. For all these things, in Jesus' name, amen. Okay, now it's time for some review questions, and then we're going to practice all of our 10 Commandment hand motions. Okay, so what does it mean to glorify God? It means to show, honor, and enjoy him as most valuable. 2, what should I do if I show, honor, and enjoy something or someone else as most valuable instead of God? You should tell the truth to God, confess, and pray for him to help your heart to glorify him. Question 3, are we allowed to say God's name? Yes. Question 5, how should we say God's name? With fear and reverence and respect, in a way that shows that we believe he is good, great, glorious, and gracious. Okay, now we're going to practice all of our 10 Commandment hand motions. Since we're still learning them, I'll do it first, and then you can repeat after me, okay? So, first one, you shall have no other gods before me, one finger. Commandment 2, you shall not make for yourself an idol, so remember it's 2 fingers, one's bowing. Commandment 3, you should not misuse the name of the Lord your God. Okay, same hand, put a W on your mouth. Commandment 4, remember the Sabbath day, keeping it holy, so like we're resting, 4 fingers. Then we have, the 5th commandment, honor your father and mother, 2 taps on your forehead and your father. This means father in sign language, this means mother in sign language. 6, you shall not murder, you put 1 finger. 7th, you shall not commit adultery. So we have 2 fingers on this hand, it's like a man and a wife. They make a promise to each other to love each other forever. And then the 8th commandment, you shall not steal. So we're going to take these 2 fingers and we're going to grab them. Like you're grabbing something that's not yours. And then the 9th one, you should not give false testimony. So we're going to cover our hands with both, or cover our mouth with both hands. And then commandment 10, you shall not covet. So this one's like both hands grabbing something, okay? All right, good job, guys. You guys should practice that. And we'll see you Sunday. Love you. Bye.